I have a lot of experience training people to improve at Horde chess. So I thought I would compile a low stress guide to improvement. On the left hand side, I have advices, and on the right hand side, I have justification for those advices. The first advice is to try to find your one last mistake. No engine. In other words, scroll to the end of the game and then work backwards and try to figure out what is the last mistake you made. This applies to both winning games that you won and games that you lost. The reason for this is that most games are decided towards the end. Even if one player wins or loses in the opening, uh, they may make blunders later in the game. The second advice is to classify the weakness of the one last mistake. So examples of weaknesses could be a weak queening square, or a trapped piece, or a weak square if you are playing white, or a, I guess, weak king, right? Maybe the king has no squares and is going to get checkmated. Or maybe uh, pawns that you cannot defend because they're not supportable. So, lack of support, undefended or loose pawns and pieces. The point is that all games are won or lost because of weaknesses. There's no getting around that. Third, you should find an improvement. Try to find a better move or a better general idea in the same position that you made that mistake. So you should substitute that mistake with a better idea. Again, no engine. The reason I don't believe in engines is because it reduces your ability to think comfortably. I do acknowledge that a lot of strong players recommend checking the games with Stockfish. I know Star of Belief says to do that. I know that Anna Rude 23 from chess.com Horde says to do that. But personally, if you are going to follow my advice, then I will recommend that you do not use the engine. If you are a much stronger player, it might be safe to sometimes check with the engine because you have a much better understanding of what the engine understands or what the engine does not understand. You might also learn some new patterns or ideas. But I went from 1750 to 2520 in 32 days, and I only ever used the engine 6 times out of, several hundred games, and I do not think it was that useful. Finally, work on your openings. You can check the lead chess database, or you can study the games of a top player and copy some of his ideas, or you can also use Multiara Chess Engine. I know that I just said that I don't believe in engines, right? But I can make an exception for using Multiara to check the opening. I think this can be useful, especially as a stronger player, because many games are with a winning or losing position in the first 6 moves, with the exception of the rook shuffle, because the rook shuffle is a slow-paced opening. But other openings are decided within the first 6 moves at most levels. One last word. You should record and save everything. So when you find last mistake, you categorize a weakness, you try to find a better move, you should write those down in a notepad or chess.com game room chat. As far as openings go, you can save a repertoire with the Lichess study or with other software that can be used to make opening trees. Actually, my girlfriend is programming a software to build a Horde opening repertoire that can be saved and practiced with. And she's been working on it for the past 2 months or so. And she showed me the demo very recently. And I think it's amazing. I am super excited, and I will do everything to repay her. So that will be very useful, I believe. I will demonstrate this whole process now. So I will go to chess.com Horde, and